My name is Brad Chad Porter. I'm the general manager at Rodeo Cinema. I want to talk to you for a few seconds about the Rodeo Cinema Foundation membership program. Rodeo Cinema is Oklahoma City's only nonprofit movie house. We depend on your support beyond your tickets and concessions purchases to keep the lights on and to continue bringing you outstanding film programming. We ask you to consider becoming a member. There are several memberships to choose from, with prices ranging from $50 per year to $5,000 per year. Check out your options at rodeocinema.org/memberships. Thank you in advance for your support.
Piece of me?
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, Bunk?
Good morning, Vietnam! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do? You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
I am.
Happy Tuesday, moviegoers. Welcome to episode 317. Welcome to Long Legs. You're listening to a new episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Juan, and I'm joined by the guys. What's up?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey guys, how's everyone doing?
Jay, Zach, how's you guys' week been?
Been busy getting ready for already putting out the Halloween decorations. Today's October 1st, so we gotta start celebrating early.
Man, the first
I
of
think
October.
you're behind already, though.
I'm behind. It's October 1st, and it feels like it's summertime outside.
True,
Oh, yes.
Very true.
Yeah, so the
Supposed to have
cooler
a cold front here in Wichita tonight.
supposed to be,
Drop
yeah.
us down in it's supposed to drop us down in the 40s.
That's what it says here too. But then I look at the weather and it's like tomorrow's like 87, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's now people are gonna start getting sick.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you guys for joining us live on Emissawa Productions YouTube channel, and if you're listening on podcast land, wherever you guys listen to podcasts, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Music, thanks to PFPN, which you guys can find us. We are on Prescribed Films Network. It's a podcast network, so go check them out. I haven't plugged them in a while, but that's www.prescribedfilms.com. And there you can listen to us. You can listen to the Movie Defenders and a bunch of other great podcasts. So go check them out. But last week, guys, if you did not join us last week, we had a fun conversation all about Sleepy Hollow. Tremendous conversation, honestly. I kind of felt like our conversation was just as entertaining as the film. So go back and listen to that if you want. All the social media links, they all have our links to listen to all of the episodes. You can hit us up on facebook.com/The Cine-Men Movie Podcast. The Instagram is all one word, The Cine-Men Movie Podcast. X, formerly known as Twitter, is at Cinemen405, or the email address is CINEMEN921. That's cinemen921@gmail.com. You guys can go check us out now on social media. We are giving away a free digital copy of Despicable Me 4. So go check it out. Like, share, comment your favorite animation movie, and we'll give that digital copy away tomorrow during the sports podcast because we did not get to do it yesterday. So other than that, Zach, it's been a minute since we've got to talk to you. So what's up, man? What's been eating at you? And do you have any recent watches or recommendations?
Yeah, so I think that my last episode was Deadpool and Wolverine, so almost about 2 months ago. So I'm just gonna rapid fire through some stuff. You and me went and saw Borderlands back in August. Watched Tarot on Netflix.
Trash.
Alien. We went and saw Alien Romulus. We're talking about maybe open 2025 with that. We'll see. Immaculate on Hulu with Sydney Sweeney. A documentary on Netflix called Hate to Love, Nickelback. And I saw Speak No Evil, Beetlejuice, Transformers 1, The Wild Robot, and Megalopolis this weekend. TV wise, pretty much everything's back on now. Frasier, Tulsa King. I saw the first episode of The Penguin about halfway through the second episode. Pretty cool start so far. So yeah, just it's kind of been all over the place essentially.
All over the place. Jay, what about you, man?
Did you ever finish season 3 of The Bear?
I did.
Okay, what do you think about it?
I thought it was good. I thought it was. I liked the way the ending finished. I thought it finished strong. Very good cliffhanger.
Yeah.
It was
Do you think it
was a slower episode, but the last 5 minutes was just nonstop emotions.
Yeah.
So I really, really enjoyed the season finale.
I like how each season they pick a character to focus on. This season was Tina. I thought that was a tremendous episode. In my opinion, I don't know about you. I just thought it wasn't as strong as season 2, but it was still a good season. So
yeah, it was a good season. Jay, what about you, man? Did you recommend anything, or did you check anything out this week?
I've rewatched some Y Files. You guys should really check those out. It's a YouTube channel. It's got about 4 million subscribers, and he basically takes urban legends, myths, aliens, conspiracies in general, and just weird stories and shit like that. And he gives you the story, and then after he's done telling you the story, gives you the legit facts about those stories. So, really good show. He's got a sidekick named Hecklefish. It's a goldfish in a glass jar, and it just sits there and talks shit all the time.
that sounds like something Ed would have.
Let's see. I too have watched The Penguin. I'm about halfway through that second episode, and then.
So, what do you guys like? I am. How can I put this? I am halfway through the first episode. Do you guys think? And you can spoil. I mean, I'm fine. But do you guys think that this will be something you have to watch before Batman 2 comes out?
No.
I don't think so. I think this is kind of its own singular story. It might set maybe something little up for the Batman 2, but I think Matt Reeves says it's pretty much its own singular story.
Oh, okay. Since you both have seen it and you both are on the middle of the season 2 or episode 2, Zach, you said you thought it was pretty good. Jay, what do you think about it?
It's pretty good so far. Will Ferrell gets lost in that suit completely.
Yeah.
Completely lost in that makeup. And I don't want to butcher her last name. I'm not even going to say her name because I just looked blank on that. The chick that plays Sophia, she's absolutely great. She played in How I Met Your Mother. That's what most people know her from, as the mother.
Yep.
And there is no way in hell that those are the same people. And you just sit there and seriously, her acting from that to this is a huge step. It's like she plays crazy great.
Well, and she has the eyes too.
Those eyes are.
Yeah, she's able to like articulate a lot with her eyes.
And then I've been watching. I started watching the Schitt's Creek. I don't know if either of you have ever heard of that show.
Yeah.
Got Catherine O'Hara, Eugene Levy's son. Him and his son created the show, and it's about a rich family that loses all their money, and they bought a town while they were rich, and so they have to move to the town and live. It's some little fucking just small put up town.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it. I've heard it's like one of the better comedies that have come out in a while, or sitcoms wise.
I haven't laughed out loud, laughed out loud, but just some of there's a lot of eye acting in this show.
Yeah,
because Eugene Levy's got those bushy ass eyebrows, and boy, he uses the hell out of them in this show. And his son's got the same thing. You could tell they're father and son in real life just by looking at him. And they both play those fucking eyebrows beautifully. And then the girl that plays the daughter, she's perfect in this role. The arrogant, smug, just daddy's girl type situation. Just, yeah, really good show. Catherine O'Hara is Catherine O'Hara. So I think they take her character in this comes across as me if they took her character from Beetlejuice and they just put it in this show a little bit. She plays an actress that hadn't worked in a long time in the show, and she's just over the top all over the place.
Yeah.
So.
My week wasn't as jam packed as normal. I'll go through mine after Sleepy Hollow. I kind of took it easy. I rewatched The Deliverance for last week's episode of Friday the 14th podcast, which is a Netflix movie, Lee Daniels film. So go check that episode out. I'm on a Despicable Me binge because of the kiddos. So I checked out Despicable Me 1 and 2, third one to go, and then the fourth one.
Now, the Minions, are they included in the game?
I might watch Minions: The Rise of Gru and then the Minions. I'm not sure. I didn't realize they were so far spread out. Like the first one was 2010. Oh my gosh.
And the next one's what, 2014? 2013, yeah.
Yeah.
And the one after that is 2017, I think.
Yeah, so insane. And then I checked out Long Legs for today's episode. But the thing I have to recommend, and I haven't talked about it yet on this episode, but I raved about it all on Friday the 14th podcast, the Mr. McMahon documentary on Netflix. It is insanely good. It does probably shed a lot of negative limelight on Vince McMahon. It's not as positive as people might think. It is more negative than anything. But it is, man, even if you're not into wrestling, I think you could sit there and just enjoy all 6 episodes. They're an hour each, and it's insane. That's all.
I too watched that. I too watched the 6 episodes, and
What'd you think?
A wrestling fan. Well, being a wrestling fan as long as I have been, a lot of those stories I knew. Just because of over the years, you collect stories of what's going on backstage, and you know that being a fan yourself.
And most of those stories are in his the WrestleMania documentary or the McMahon DVD that came out back in the day. The thing that really just gets you is the lawsuits and stuff.
Oh yeah, that can't keep. There's some weird shit that as they panned over the deposition is just like, holy shit, he did that. Oh god. Oh yep, he's fucked.
Yep.
But it was just cool hearing the shit out of his own mouth, like.
Yeah.
Because a lot of time it's just hearsay. This wrestler saying this, and Brian saying it, or Dave Meltzer saying it as well.
I'm surprised you got him to talk about. Or I'm surprised they got him to talk as much as they did about the Benoit situation.
Well, he looked bad in that situation, didn't he?
Yeah, because that whole Chris Benoit hadn't been touched publicly since 2007, and I'm surprised he talked about it.
Is it like a documentary where you're like, when you watch it, you're just like, wow, I'm surprised he had a job for that long, or as high up in the industry that he was.
But you understand how powerful he really was in this documentary, because
you said it was negative, right?
I feel like 85% to 90% of it was negative. They threw him under the bus for everything.
Rightly so, man. The dude's. I get some of the good stuff he's done, but holy shit, man, the dude was fucking cutthroat and ruthless. Just like the episode called Family, where he basically Shane had to kill himself just to get just a small amount of fucking respect and somewhat love. At least that's where that episode played, was that all these people saying that Vince has always been hard on Shane bad. It's like, holy fuck, man, you treated some of these wrestlers better than your own kid.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, you're good. Oh no. No, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I'm not like saying that it was bad because of how much he got thrown under the bus. I'm just like, man, it shows you how much power he had for so long.
Well, so on the other side, 6 hours to me wasn't enough because that we don't know if they asked him any positive questions.
Yeah, that's true. Did you see where him and Kevin Dunn were coming up with like something to um, go
I
up
heard that
against
story
that,
was I heard that story was fake.
about
So
them coming up with a different
yeah,
documentary?
the response.
Yeah, but
Dude
anyway,
banked.
go ahead.
Dude banked though.
Oh yeah, I did. Um, but yeah, if I had to recommend anything, I'd recommend that documentary. It's on Netflix, and then I believe the Despicable Me movies are all on Peacock. So,
Yep. Yep.
but let's dig into with what we're digging into today. It is October, and it is one of many spooky movies that we'll kind of talk about. I know Joker's not really a spooky movie, but it's still like it feels like a fall
Psychological
autumn.
thriller.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then we'll get into some horror comedy movies, and then we'll finish out the month with the first Omen, which I haven't seen yet. So, uh, and then the 15th we'll talk about Scary Movie, and October 22nd we'll talk about Idle Hands. So let's talk about Long Legs. That's what we're getting into today. Um, if you have not seen it, we will spoil the movie all day long in this episode. So go check it out. IMDb has it at a 6.7, Rotten Tomatoes at 85%, the Metascore is at 77, and the Letterboxd is a 3.5 out of 5. With a $10 million budget, it grossed a little over $109 million in the box office with a July 12th, 2024 release date. In pursuit of a serial killer, an FBI agent uncovers a series of cult of cult clues that she must solve to end his terrifying killing spree. Starring Micah Monroe, Nicolas Cage, Blair Underwood, Alicia Witt, Michelle Lee, and directed by Oz Perkins and written by Oz Perkins. This is a neon release. Um, Zach, we'll start with you first. What was it like seeing it for the first time? What were your thoughts when the movie was over, and then how'd you feel revisiting it for the podcast?
Yeah. So I hadn't even heard about this movie. Probably, honestly, I probably saw the first trailer for this probably back in April, maybe even May. It was like very kind of, hey, this is coming out mid-July. And I was like, I love the teasers for this. It was really, really cryptic. And I was just like, I don't know what this is, but this looks like, scary as hell. Saw it in the theater. And I don't know about you. I'll be curious to see if this is your guys' thoughts on this, but I was just hooked from like opening scene in the theater, and I was just like, I was so curious what was going on. My initial thought at the ending, I had some nitpicky kind of things about it, but on the rewatch now, that kind of like subsided, and I like this movie even more. So it's creeping up there as maybe one of my favorite of the year. So what do you guys think?
I going first. I'll go next. I gotta have that same feeling going into the theater watch. It was also super loud. Being in that theater setting, it made it feel more creepy. And like you, I was hooked. I was on the edge of my seats trying to find out what was going on. Um, a lot of potential. I think some of the hype that was surrounding this film kind of let me down just a little bit. And then the ending, I was like, okay, I can see that's a decent ending, I guess, and I loved it. Um, the second watch with this movie, I was kind of like, okay, I appreciate the first half, and then kind of like you probably, Zach, I nitpicked the second half and the ending, and I'm like, kind of fell flat for me at the ending. So I kind of have two different views on this movie: theater setting, at home setting. So we'll talk about it. Jay, what about you?
I went completely blind into this movie. Like I was just telling you earlier that, you gave me 2 words on a podcast, and you said Charles Manson, and I was like, oh, okay, something like that. I get you. I can, think of you because you said the occult and shit. I figured the occult and shit like that. But while watching the movie, I found it kind of boring. Beautifully shot film, but I don't get me wrong. The beginning was cool, where she was like, "Oh, that hey, he's in there, and dude gets his head blown off, and shit starts from there." As far as her as an adult, but I just found the movie to be just dull.
So let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it and dig into it. We're at 20 minutes and 45 seconds. If you guys have not seen this movie, go check it out. It's $20, give or take, at Walmart. Go check it out wherever you get physical media. $20 online as well if you want to, stream
Amazon it up.
Yeah, it's not on any streaming channel yet, but I'm sure it will be soon, maybe. But go check it out. Long Legs, Nicolas Cage. That's what we're getting into. I think everybody can kind of agree it started off super creepy with the title card with Nicolas Cage, and then like Jay, you said with the getting introduced to Harker and her kind of background spreeing, kind of. She's kind of like a psychic, right? That's the word you'd call it.
Yeah, it's to me it was like an introduced beginning and just like goes nowhere. Unless I missed something, I didn't see after so a little at that first little half, that psychic shit didn't come up anymore.
Yeah. And then like very slowly after her partner gets kind of like killed, and you can kind of like she kind of got blamed for it, I guess. I think, right?
No, I don't think she got blamed for it. I just think that she had to do that picture test just to kind of see like where her mental state was after all that. I didn't see the psychic stuff, honestly. I saw the way Micaiah Monroe plays the character as a very wounded person, and I think the movie does a very good job of like piecing the puzzle together, seeing like when she was 9 years old, she has this encounter with this guy and has this affect her later in life. And she plays it almost kind of like someone that has like, kind of like Asperger's, where their emotional state is delayed. They don't really know how to respond to stuff. Like the scene where she's talking to, Carter's daughter, she's like way on the other side of the bed, like she has her back turned to her, and it's like almost like physically painful to her to have social conversations. I really like that. It was just kind of like, here's this person who you can tell you don't really know what's wrong with her, but she's kind of the one that can maybe pieces together and stop this killing spree. In my opinion. I can't hear you, dude.
Good.
Yep.
I put together more like even what's wrong with her, like what messed her up so much as a child, and you eventually find out. But like on the second watch, I'm like, man, this whole situation messed her up that much to where she's a good cop, she's a good detective, but like her social skills or lack thereof.
Yeah.
And she just kind of, again, I like how detailed it was in a lot of the police work and a lot of the story going into it. And like I did mention to Jay, I was like, it's very Manson-like. It's Manson-esque. They mentioned it in the movie. Let's give our thoughts real quick on what drew everybody into this. Nicolas Cage as the serial killer, Longlegs.
Yeah. To me, this is the Nicolas Cage that really works. This is like the most insane version of what Nicolas Cage can do. I watched a couple of like little shorts on the Blu-ray that it was really Oz Perkins and Nicolas Cage's idea to like cover him up in so much makeup that you can't tell it's really him. And I think it really works. That scene where it's kind of in the middle of the movie where like it transitions from like a doll face to him standing at the bus station. That was
before he gets captured.
Yeah, and he just stands there and he just like looks down the street and he puts his luggage down. It's just like that's like classic Cage and like has like most insane. And it's also a really cool visual. What do you guys think about that? Or I guess like what do you think about that scene and what do you think about Cage overall in the movie?
On my part, I thought it was a bad performance on my part. I every time he was on screen doing his thing, whenever he had the screaming scene in the car, I'm just like, what the fuck is this, man? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude to you guys. I know you guys enjoyed it. I'm just giving my thoughts. You know, I found it. I was just reminded anytime I heard him scream and shit like that, I instantly went back to his performance in Ghost Rider where he's screaming, turning into the fucking Ghost Rider, and I'm just like, oh god, this is just fucking, oh no, mommy, daddy. I'm just like, oh no, and then I think the makeup was hideous, and not in a good way.
Having you compare that to Ghost Rider, that's probably going to be one of the funniest moments on this episode. And
I'm sorry.
you know what I thought about his performance in this? It made me go back to the visual of him with his face off in Face Off. When he's sitting there clapping and he's smoking the cigarette and he doesn't have a face.
Yeah.
I am going to agree to disagree. I think the makeup on the second time around, I think the makeup might have been a little too much, but I think his performance physically and vocally, I think it was just creepy in itself without the makeup. I think it could have been, I think you could have dressed him up to look exactly like Manson and have no makeup on him, and I think he would have been a little bit more creepier. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean they kind of do that to an extent, except for his like he has like the long hair and everything, but it is like his face is just kind of like.
And the second time around, I'm like, why is his face kind of like that? Like it made me get second guess. Like, is that really his face? Is he trying to cover up what he really looks like? But I guess obviously that's really what they wanted him to look like. Um, and with his makeup, he kind of had a resemblance to like a broken Matt Hardy. Jay, did you see that any?
No, I just seen a weird fucking nose, and I'm like, oh god. I know. I feel like I'm a hater right now, but
No.
I really did. I sound like such a hater. It's just, yeah. I've seen a lot of horror movies in my day, a lot of real bad ones, a lot of good ones, and don't get me wrong. Like I said, visually from that standpoint, the filming standpoint, everything, like you said, the transition from the mask to him standing on the side of the road. One of the cool shots, it was the way they framed it. It was the FBI agent, and she's dead center in the screen, and it transitions to a tree, and the tree stops right at the tip of her fucking head from the previous scene. I was like, oh, that's cool, but.
I think that's true too. A lot of the good scenes, cinematography wise, had Harker in it, not Longlegs. Like the scene where she's on the phone with her mom and she feels like somebody's there, or she feels like somebody's stalking her in the cabin, and she goes outside. The camera shot behind her, next to her, looking back at the cabin. I thought all those shots were really good. The scene where she's walking up into the house, where the family that died that was supposed to go to Disneyland, those shots I thought were phenomenal. Where she's looking at the dead bodies.
I noticed how, and this is kind of jumping off your point, Johnny. I totally agree. The cinematography is beautiful in this movie. I noticed how like the long shots, a lot of the long shots looked really like epic in scale. But I noticed how like anytime like Harker's on screen or Longlegs or Carter, they're centered directly in the center of the frame. Like they're just like right in the center. I just noticed that on this last watch. I was like, okay, that's kind of a cool. If you're a film nerd, you would catch on that. And something from the beginning, just in my opinion, I thought this movie was atmospheric as hell. There's just always like this sense of dread that is just like, you don't know what's going to happen. You just don't know what's going to pop out behind every corner. I agree with you, Johnny. The cabin scene that's actually in the trailer, and that pretty much sold me. I was like, oh, that looks like something you want to see in a movie theater. So
Yeah. Or the scene where she's I think it's on the poster that I
Where
made.
One of
I'm
the
not
okay,
sure.
my
she's
thing
look
about character before we go on is that Homegirl that play I think Homegirl is way too scared to have ever graduated and became an FBI agent.
Are you
Oh, you're
talking
talking
about?
about
Are you talking
Yeah,
about
the
the scene where
girl.
she's looking out the window and she has her mouth to her like that?
yeah.
The whole time she just seemed like to me she was like, I know I'm jumping back. I didn't get a chance to speak then, but I I just found her performance to just be too hyper. You know, she was just too hyper emotion to have ever, to me, in my mind, to ever make it at FBI school. They would never send an agent that fucking like stressed out into the field.
Yeah, that scene.
Yeah.
But back to what we were talking about. Sorry.
Is this Jay? Is this one of the worst movies you've seen this year? Just be honest. It's not going to hurt my feelings.
No. I'd probably say. I don't, like I said, atmospheric and everything like that. Beautiful film. But and camera setup, all that stuff. The technical side, fabulously done. There's just some technical points in the story and just the storyline itself that I had trouble with. And then you guys are praising performances. There's some of the performances I'm just like, no. The girl I actually like her in the entire movie. The lead character, the chick that plays her, I like her, but I just think emotionally, I don't think she would have ever become an FBI agent. She just seems too fucking broken to become an FBI agent.
It kind of made me feel like they were going to Silence of the Lambs like with the female character.
Well, that was the inspiration. This whole movie, like Oz Perkins said, that the biggest inspiration was Silence of the Lambs and Seven. Like how there hasn't been really a movie that has been like that in the last 20 years or whenever the
It
last
just
was. And so he wanted to bring that back and kind of revamp it.
it just made me feel like they were going just too pushy on something mentally being wrong with the girl, which I kind of agree with Jay on just a small thing. Like I feel like her past as a kid was too traumatic for her to be connected to this story. It's almost like her department is feeding her to the lambs, so to speak, no pun intended, with her background. Even though they I feel like her department knows she's mentally messed up, and they're like, oh, let's put her on this case. She's mentally messed up anyway. Let's just throw her to the lambs and see if she can figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't read that. I just read that.
Because the two detectives that are on the case, Agent Carter and Browning, they're veterans. They're trying to figure out what's been going on. They've been on this case for like 10 years. So it's like, why bring in this rookie to, and it's almost like to Silence of the Lambs, like, because that's exactly what they did in Silence of the Lambs with her,
Yeah,
Clarice.
Clarice. Yeah, I just I enjoyed the build up. I didn't ask any questions. This wasn't a film that I started like nitpicking at the threads to start pulling it apart. It wasn't. It just like I don't know. For me, it just made sense, and I didn't question any
Remember
of it.
this is me questioning it after
Two
watching it.
viewings,
The two viewings
right?
after the theater view. I put a 4.5 on it. I was like, man, one of the best movies I've seen all year. Nick Cage was amazing. I still think Nick Cage was amazing the second time around. I liked the first half of the story. I did enjoy Harker's character, and I enjoyed her meaning to the story. I think her going and seeing the person from the psych ward was still kind of terrifying. I liked that scene because I felt like the
Hmm.
person from the psych ward, like this could go one of two ways. She's either going to kill herself with something she has right there in her hands, or
Yeah,
she could attack Harker.
Carrie Ann. Yeah.
Yeah. But then the second time around, where I really started having an issue with it was when you got to dig deep with the mom and how the mom was truly the one who got into everybody's house.
To me, it was
I didn't like
it,
I liked and enjoyed the psychological thriller aspect of the movie, but I did not enjoy the
The demonic
the
presence of it.
demonic presence, the
Yeah.
satanic devil being the main. You know what I mean?
Well, I didn't have a problem with the mom being in on it. I think that was like a, if you're gonna have that character be involved, I think her mom being like a accomplice, I thought that was a kind of a cool idea. It was for me on my first viewing, and I kind of was more lenient on this time now that I kind of was able to sit down and just kind of, not pay attention. Well, just it wasn't like a first time watch. I can kind of take notes and stuff. Um, my problem with the first time watch was like, okay, so this is Annabelle, and like they're possessing
yes,
everybody at the end of the
yes.
movie or whatever. That was like my biggest problem with it. But I guess that little ball that's in the doll's head is that technically how the devil gets in the dolls, and that's how they possess the families? Is that how I'm reading it?
Yes.
Okay. And Nicholas Cage puts the ball in the heads, and the mother transports them to like certain families. Is how I'm reading it.
I guess
Yeah.
he curses the ball, and yeah.
See, like I said, on the first watch, that really bothered me. I was just like, okay, so this is Annabelle. By the
But yeah,
time we get to the end of the movie,
is it witchcraft? Is it demonic possession? Is it Amityville horror stuff? Is it and that's where my biggest downfall of this movie is. It's like, really? You couldn't just go with
Nick Cage is a serial killer. Yeah,
I
kind of agree.
You couldn't just go with I would even be okay with this movie based on loosely events, and it can be loosely based off of
The
Manson
Manson
stuff.
murders. Yeah.
I don't think this movie had to take a turn to,
I agree with you there. It does have that Amityville horror sense of like possession, like there's something going on supernatural. I accepted the supernatural portion. I thought that it was what I mean by I accepted the paranormal explanation. It's until they gave the reveal of what that paranormal entity was and all that other shit. I was like, we just you could have just left it alone and just said it was some weird fucking mystical force and it was driving to kill, whatever. We didn't need a name to the face, It was just needed to be something fucking scary.
It could have been like it could have been like Smile. It's just some kind of force that infested you. And I don't know if you guys noticed, I caught this. Well, I caught it on the first viewing, but I caught it a little bit more on the second. Did you guys notice like the horned creature thing? It was kind of like a ghost presence. That's always like in the back of the room or in the corner or something like that.
Is that what the mom kept behind that door?
No.
Or what was in that room?
Well, that was Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage.
So he was living there ever since he
showed
up. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was
if you notice, whenever they showed you pay attention, it's their basement when they do the end reveal on everything. Whenever they're showing the mom delivering time after time, it's him making them in that basement at the mom's house.
Because there's a scene where Harker goes visits her mom, and she tries to open the door, but it's locked. And then after her possession ends or something like that, it's revealed that that's their basement. And she comes up from the basement out into the kitchen.
So what do you think at the very beginning, or when they go back to the flashback scene of where he's, talking to a young Harker? What is he saying when he's singing? He sings to her. Is he like trying to put a spell on her? Is that him putting a spell on?
Fucking cool on my end.
I have to stay. You know what I mean?
Well, I kind of think you're right, Jay. That is very Nicolas Cagey, but I kind of thought it was at the end of the day, the mother made a deal with the devil. Essentially, what this is about,
right?
But in order to protect her daughter.
I just didn't know him singing. Is that him casting the spell on the mother?
Well,
or
his a lot of his performance isn't a sing-songy type of delivered that way. If you pay it like whenever they're showing the scenes of the interrogation, he's basically singing. Whenever Harker goes in there and actually starts talking to him, he's singing and rhyming and shit. and then he
Yeah.
bashes his fucking face, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
So the scene where he's being interrogated and he bashes his face to the death. What do you guys think? Too much?
too much.
No, there wasn't. By that point, we had only seen like crime scene photos, and we did see like the dude, the family dead and with the maggots all over their face, but we hadn't seen like a very like horror gore Tarantino type scene, and so I think that was the scene that they were waiting for. Because like even at the end, like yeah, she full blank like shoots her mom full blank in the forehead, but we don't even see Carter like kill his family. Like Harker kills him, but not in a really graphic way. So I think that was the interrogation scene is like the closest we got to like the graphic horror nature of the situation.
I will have to say this movie gets grade A hype, and this movie gets grade A publicity because this budget was $9 million
Yeah,
and it grossed 110.
108. Yeah,
I'm like, man, they
Whenever
had
you read that number off, I was like, holy shit, it made that much money. Okay,
yeah.
right on.
It's technically the highest grossing film of the Neon company. So,
Yeah.
and let's talk about that for a second. Neon has really become kind of like a new staple. Honestly, it's kind of like the new A24, where it's
you
like,
watch your mouth.
no, I mean, no. Let's be honest. Like,
Neon's been putting out movies since like 05 though. They've been putting out movies for a while. 09, 2010.
yeah, but they've had like a resurgence or something in the last couple years.
That's true.
So,
And I
like,
think this does help them out a lot.
yeah. So, I mean, it's like, it's very much, I'll say it's very much like the outline of A24, where they allow these directors to do what they want on a very limited budget. And, you put out a good horror movie and it makes $100 million on a $5 million budget. They're happy. They're doing their dance at the studio.
Yep.
What I don't understand is why would you put this out a week before Twister when you could put this in October with, you could have done Longlegs, Smile 2, and Nosferatu, and that would have been a killer month for the month of Halloween. That's something I never understand about studios.
Go ahead.
I don't think they looked at it as a Halloweeny movie. They just looked at it as a psychological thriller. That's how they were selling it. They didn't. Like I said, I didn't see any trailers going in. I didn't see shit. And I seen on Facebook going through Nicolas Cage gets good performance in new film. I'm like, okay, cool. So he has a new one out. So, like I said, in my mind, I thought they sold it as a psychological thriller because they didn't want to give away some of the, some more paranormal stuff that was going on in the movie. But that's just.
Well, and really, I never thought about Seven. I mean, I guess you could think of Seven in the sense of like it's a religious like type situation. But I thought if you took Silence of the Lambs and Zodiac, you would get this movie essentially. So it's very.
I can see where he said like you said, we've been saying a lot is the film's very atmospheric and everything, and that's where I think it plays off the Seven aesthetic as far as the look goes.
Mm-hmm.
Because Seven was a very atmospheric, dark film. Because I remember when it was released in theaters, that theater goers and owners were pissed because the film was so dark. It was like watching just a black screen because that's how dark it was.
Yeah. Something else I also liked, I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you caught on to it because we're talking about the cinematography a lot, but it's like anytime we go back to a flashback, it's kind of like a 70s home movie style like box type thing. It looks like you're just kind of looking at it through like a home movie. I thought that was a creative choice. It's very 70s, I guess you would say.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I did enjoy the flashbacks and very like you guys were talking about, the atmosphere was almost its own character, just like the score. It just kind of fell flat for me with the revealing of the devil ball. So,
do you think I know this probably won't get a sequel, but there's a lot of talk. You think this will get like a prequel of how Longlegs became Longlegs? We don't need it, but do you think it'll happen because of how much money it made?
It's very probable.
Yeah. I don't think we need it either. I do
The
say like,
question is, will Nicolas Cage want to do it? You know, he's done a lot of sad shit in his day as an actor, so I don't put it past him to do it.
yeah, I think he would do it, and I think he would. I mean, who knows where this character can goes, but I do think, this is one of those movies where the character made them the money, the actor made them the money, so they're probably going to pour more money into that character.
Yeah.
So
Well, see, it didn't. What was it last year? When he done the vampire or Renfield that he
Oh,
did.
Renfield.
I
Yeah.
thought that movie is real good.
Yeah.
You know, his over the top, Nicolas Cageism, worked really well as Dracula. I
Yep.
feel we haven't. I don't know if you guys have talked about that movie, but in my opinion, I think there's some movie missing from the final product because,
Yeah.
but
Well,
it was a good movie overall.
yeah, we talked about that last year, I
Cage.
think.
yeah,
And
we had a whole like Nicolas Cage month, and we
yeah.
talked about that and the other movie where he plays Nicolas Cage. He plays himself.
Yeah. And
See, something.
titles
I know
With Pedro
it's in my
Pascal.
brain. Okay. I was a fan of his in his early stuff like Con Air, Face Off, and then he started. Leaving Las Vegas was good. It's just like
oh,
when he got to the commercial shit, it's just like I don't care.
the unbearable weight of massive talent. Yeah.
Where he started doing just the direct to DVD movies.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
where
Some of those are pretty decent. Some of those ones that are like horror comedy movies that he's done, some of them are kind of, not bad. But when he did movies like Primal where he looked like Tiger King and stuff, you're like, come on.
Yeah.
Let's talk
Something.
about. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, kind of jump what you said about you brought up Renfield, Jay. I liked how they had limited quantities of Nicolas Cage in this. You had a limited quality of Dracula and Renfield, and you have a limited quality of Longlegs. So it didn't feel like it was, in my opinion, it wasn't like an overbearing character. Like when he came in, it was just like, oh shit, he's back. So
That's true. You could look at that two ways. Probably from Jay's point of view, you're like, oh, here he is again. But then if you enjoy the character and you're like, oh, he is creepy, you're like, that's just enough creepy, because if he was in it too much, like you said, it probably would have been a little bit more cheesy.
And they also do the Spielberg thing where like they hide like a full look of him for quite like I think till like 40 minutes into the movie. So you kind of get glimpses of him. So
yeah.
I appreciate that as well. I don't know. To me the movie I had a good time with it. So I mean, I know Jay, you had your qualms with it, but I don't know. It hit different with me.
Hey, movies they're subjective, man. That's what makes it great.
Let's talk some favorite scenes. Zach, you want to go first?
I think the big scene with the interrogation. I think my favorite scene, like singular scene, was the bus stop scene where you see him just like dead-eyed and just kind of like, oh my god, this guy's really a sociopath. My favorite sequence is probably the interrogation, but I also like the character moments of Harker where she's like figuring out the clues and like going through the evidence and all that. So they're different. There's just different aspects of it, but if I had to pick a singular scene, it was probably the bus stop scene.
If I had to pick a favorite scene, it would be the interrogation scene where he bashes his head in. I also like the scene where he goes into that like little hardware store, convenience store, and the girl's like, "Dad, that creepy guy's here again." But then I do enjoy the scene where you get the core story of Parker and the other detective, Carter.
I can't hear you, dude.
You hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
What'd you say on that? What'd you say on that last part?
Where the other favorite scene is where he invites Harker into his home, Agent Carter, and you're
Oh.
kind of like, that's where you're like, man, this might be the final. Ready? He teases throughout the movie.
Can't hear you. No, there you go.
So I said Agent Carter teases throughout the whole movie that his daughter is about to have a birthday party.
Yeah.
And then she invites Harker to the birthday party, so you're kind of like already, like, man, this might be the final. You have a favorite scene, Jay?
I like the bus stop scene. I thought that was pretty well done. Like I said, that was one of my favorite scenes as well, where it's just transition. He's standing there, the cops pull up. He automatically, I'm like, okay, that's pretty funny. That's pretty cool. It's like because he just plays it off nonchalantly, like, yeah, what the fuck? I knew sooner or later they'd bust my ass, and he just sets the shit down, and then it's just like, okay, yeah. All right, before we get on real quick, what everybody think about the performance of Alicia Witt? I thought the character was, I don't know, the mother character was all right to me. I thought that the portrayal of just, I don't know what it, I kind of cringe when I see people play crazy sometimes in movies because sometimes I just don't find it believable. And there's some points in the movie where I'm like, all right, bitch is crazy. And then there's other moments where I'm like, eh.
She reminded me in this movie of Alice Cridge, who played Mary Brady from Sleepwalkers, the Stephen King cat movie.
Yeah, where the moms, dude, that movie is fucking weird.
Yeah. That's who she reminded me of, was the mom from Sleepwalkers, which is a good thing because I really like Sleepwalkers. So I even though I didn't like the mom being one of the main parts of the story in this, I appreciated and I enjoyed the mom's character.
I thought Alicia Witt's performance as the mother was very on par with Micaiah Monroe, where it was like you could tell obviously that they're related, but they don't have like a very good uh relationship, especially when it like towards the end where it's just like through the movie it's just like, have you been saying your prayers? It's like, no, mom. And then like she finally breaks down and says, oh no, that's all bullshit. So because clearly if you made a deal with the devil, you don't care about that. So it's just like, but she puts on this facade, and I thought she did a good job with that. So
I don't know if it was just me in the seeing the movie, but I noticed that in order the devil picked the devil picked Longlegs to do his thing and shit like that, but then Longlegs needed a face, so he got the mother involved.
yeah.
Okay.
So another fun fact before we get into star rating, Oz Perkins is Anthony Perkins' son, Norman Bates himself. So
Interesting. We have
another.
That's so creepy. We have an email about
another horror another horror connection.
Yeah, we have an email about Psycho. Star rating, guys. Jay, let's start with you.
I'm just gonna give it a 2 straight up. I think I've given it my fair assessment for the
2 out of 5. I'm gonna go. I did have it when I first seen it in July. I had it at 4.5 out of 5. To me, the rewatchability is a huge, massive part of a star rating. If you can't rewatch it, if you don't think you'd like it on the second watch, then obviously the rating would go down a little lower. But I still enjoyed a lot of the movie, other than just nitpicking towards the end. I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5. So, like I said, still decent, still good. I think I would watch it again. But yeah, Zach.
All right. I guess I'm going to go out on a limb on here. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. It just hit on all cylinders for me. I think it does have rewatchability. I think it's a film that you can catch different things every time you watch it. You have two great performances with Micaiah Monroe and Nicolas Cage. I agree with you, Johnny. I just kind of nitpick at the ending with the whole doll thing, but it is what it is, and for me, it still works. I think if we did our 2020 review tomorrow, it'd be in my top 10 of the year. So
2020.
I mean 2024 review. But we still have 3 more months to go, so we have a lot more movies to watch. So, but as of right now, it's a 5 out of 5.
I can feel that.
Three very different perspectives tonight.
Oh yeah, which is what makes this podcast so fun.
Yep.
Go check out this movie, guys. I think we all can agree that 3 different ratings, 3 different perspectives, which means we need to get more people to go see movies like this. Go check it out. Send us in some emails or some comments on what you think, and what did you think of Longlegs. Again, you can hit us up on the social medias and emails, which we're getting ready to get into. So email us up, send it in. CINEMEN921 at gmail.com. That's Cine-Men921 at gmail.com. I'm just going to read a few, and then we can get into what's coming up the rest of October. Kyo Blue is asking, what is the best horror comedy that you guys have seen? I noticed you guys are doing some horror comedy this year for October spooky season, which is a little different. So in your mind, what is probably some of the best I've seen recently? Or my number one will always be Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Horror comedies is the subject.
One of my favorites actually is it's Shaun of the Dead. I love that movie. That movie cracks me up every time I watch it. I don't know why. It's always real good. I think it's a real tight movie, and it's actually.
Shaun of the Dead is a classic. Yeah, I could agree with that one. Warm Bodies is out there.
That was actually pretty good. I thought that was good.
I'm probably going to get on the shit list for this, but I like Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. That's one you never hear people talk about anymore.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that.
I know it's what you're talking about. I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it in a long time. I think I've only seen it in its theaters release. But what about Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter? Is that like a comedy too?
No.
No,
it wasn't meant to be a comedy.
No, it wasn't. I saw that in the theater too.
I haven't seen it because I seen the trailer. I was like, "Oh no, this is gonna be bad."
Forward Me Dirty Emails says movies that make you feel on the edge the entire time. Any thoughts? Some of their recommendations is movies like Uncut Gems, and so movies that keep you on the edge.
I would say two I remember just distinctly feeling that way in the theater was Mission Impossible Fallout and Smile. Those two were like, oh my god, like this is one was very much an just on your seat action thriller, and the other one is very much a psychological horror. So
I don't know if it's just me or not, but I have a weird way of watching movies. When I watch a movie, it could be any genre in the world you can sit there and think of. I will just legit sit there and you'll think my fucking sleep half the time, and I'm just processing it all. So I'm not one of those. You won't see it emotionally on my face, but inside the brain, it's just like, yeah, we're cooking. But I haven't felt that way in a while. So the last time I felt that way is, but I couldn't tell you.
Dunkirk was another one for me. Seeing that in the theater.
My edge of my seat movie last time would honestly be in a theater, maybe 1917.
Oh yeah, we saw that one together, and that was a cool experience.
That's just usually when it's any kind of like war movies, or if it's got to be an actor that just grabs you. And I saw this one in the theater too, even though it's a slow paced movie at times. Fences.
Oh yeah.
Denzel's performance in that movie kind of had me on the edge of my seat, and especially until you got to digging into his story with his wife and what was going on. You're just like, man, what's gonna happen?
I didn't talk about this during recent watches, but last week I saw not Fences Whiplash for its 10th anniversary in the theater. That was even though I know it was going to happen and I know how it all ends, J.K. Simmons' performance in that is just that's on a whole nother level.
My first introduction to him was when he played Vern Schillinger on Oz. And ever since, because that's my introduction to him. And so everything that I see after that, I'm just like, you better live up to that role, bro. I'm like, you were fucking crazy. You were great. You hated this son of a bitch. And then when I'm seeing him doing the fucking insurance commercials and shit like that, I'm like, no. Vern Schillinger would never do a fucking insurance commercial.
What if he did? What if he did that character for the insurance commercial? Like, how would that go?
Oh shit! Seriously, that's how every time I see his perform anything, I'm like, okay. And I whenever I seen Whiplash, I seen some of that little bit of fucking Schillinger in there, and I don't know if it was just me. Again, I have a trouble separating sometimes with that one, but I do enjoy J.K. Simmons a lot.
Independent Dare says, "Is Psycho worth watching? I love Vertigo and I love Rear Window, but I'm not a traditional horror fan." And he's also a big Alfred Hitchcock fan, big fan of Alfred Hitchcock's work. He's just not a horror fan.
I don't find it to be horror, in my opinion.
No, it's more psychological horror.
That's what I'm saying. It's
a thriller.
Yeah.
And in one way, I'd sit there and I'd call it a murder mystery as well, because that's what it turns into in the second act. When you have an act of murder, and that's what's shocking about the movie is you have the setting up where you're supposed to be following this character that done something wrong. She gets to a place, how's she gonna get away? And boom, she's fucking done before anything's said and done. Then you start following somebody new and it becomes a completely different tale. There's no horror to it, I don't think. It's pretty straightforward if you ask me.
I'm a huge Hitchcock person, and so Psycho, everyone thinks that's his masterpiece. It's not. It's in my top 5 Hitchcock, but it's definitely. I think if you're a film fan, you have to watch it just to appreciate like the technical aspect of the film. Everyone knows the twist, everyone knows the story, but it's just how Hitchcock filmed it. It's kind of a treat to watch.
Yeah, I'd agree. Independent Dare, if you have already seen most of Alfred Hitchcock's classics, I think you have to watch Psycho. Mr. Fahrenheit says, I've recently started watching a movie a day and I need some recommendations. For a long time, I've wanted to do a movie thing, new, old, home theater, whatever. I got some time on my hands for the foreseeable future, and I want to do a movie a day. How would you guys even start a movie a day?
In my personal opinion, the way I do that, I always, if I'm gonna like watch something I've never seen, I always kind of want to see something which I know this is gonna sound artsy fartsy, but I just want to see like what do people consider like the best movies. So I go like to AFI's top 100 films or Roger Ebert's top 100 films or whatever. Find something that looks interesting and just start there, and then maybe work your way up the ladder.
Yeah. I've done the same thing. I just go to IMDb's top 250 and I'll just pick out something.
Yeah.
Jay, do you have a little? How do you?
My method is if I'm going to get into a movie a day, I'd go with comfort first. Get into stuff that you haven't visited in a while. That's sometimes my mentality. If I'm going to do a view like that, because I've done those movie a day things. I think us all being movie fans, that we catch ourselves watching movies constantly. So we probably do the one a day thing. Yeah. And my thing is I go with comfort first. Get yourself back into the language of film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And once you start playing with it again and getting familiar with it, and then it might branch out, see some shit you haven't seen before. But
Jay,
that's just.
I wanted to ask you because you've been on now for I think going on half a year once December hits and stuff, and how has that been like for you? Like when your first episode was that sci-fi movie.
Oh, the creator.
The creator.
Yes.
And you were talking to me about how it had been quite some time since you had.
You cut out.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can.
Okay, and you said it had been a while since you had like your thinking cap on while watching movies. Like now that you've kind of like in in the mid season, if you will, like how's it been lately? Like has it like turned on something every time you watch something, or just when it's something that we talk about the podcast?
I it's something we watch for the podcast. I watch because even if I've watched it before, or I haven't watched it before. I try to go into looking at it like, okay, it's to me it becomes not homework, but then it becomes homework because I'm translating it to a new medium because I'm now having to give my thoughts on what I just processed and watched. And if I sit there and don't sit there and think of my process, because I have to, because when I watch a movie regularly, I just zone the fuck out, probably smoke a joint, have a couple beers, and be like, all right, where are we going for the next couple hours? And I just fucking groove with it. But if I have to sit there and do the podcast stuff, I have to sit there, be more alert, take notes and shit like that, and just be like, oh, well, that's what they were saying in the last thing. I can't get lost in it. Does that make sense?
Is that good or bad though? Like, would you able? I almost want to say, would you do that for your next movie that we do, where you just get lost, kind of fade out a little bit, and then
Well,
just
I've learned over time, though, I think I've learned to do both.
okay.
Because it's one of those it's one of those things that you like, fuck. I can't keep pausing this movie every like 10 seconds to fucking write down what's going on here. I got to learn to fucking like relax, get into it, just do it scene by scene, and hopefully I could do it. The last few shows, I haven't really had any notes. Where at the beginning, I was very meticulous. You've seen my notes. I was
Oh
very
yeah,
meticulous in what
yeah,
I'd
yeah.
done, and now it's just like I don't even write shit. I almost forgot to write down my top five from Tim Burton when we did Sleepy Hollow, dude. I'm just like, oh yeah, we have a top five, and I was like, and I just went through real quick. I was like, I because I knew exactly we were talking about Tim Burton. It was easy,
Yeah.
and I just so I didn't have it fumbled in my brains. But it's gotten a lot easier, and we should ask this to Zach for taking a break later on. Taking a break and then coming back.
Yeah.
How being off a little bit refreshes you or gives you more. I don't know. Your thoughts?
Honestly, my brain has always been like, since I love film, it's always running. Like, this weekend when we go see Joker, I'll already be taking mental notes about stuff, and then I'll have to come back and just kind of like articulate my thoughts. But I mean, you can see I've been gone for a while, and I did long legs, and it's already, I'm already back to it. So it's always running in my brain.
I tend to just take care of I don't know what it's called, but I tend to just take care of myself mentally. No matter these are always my scapegoats. Life can be so damn hard, work can be so damn hard, kids, everything. But the moment I turn the TV on, even if it's one movie that I watch a week, I try to do a few in a week. But if there's only one movie I watch in a week and it's the movie for the episode, that's my time to just get lost in cinema, watch it, enjoy it, and then I'll either take notes. Then I'll either take notes after, or watch it again the other another day and just kind of skim through and do notes. But
Yeah.
I'll do one more and then we'll kind of get out of here. This was a good one. Prestigious 696 says, "What movie has a I hate you, but I respect you dynamic between anybody here? Is there a movie that's just like, man, you know what? I hate it, but I gotta respect it."
Huh. Give me a couple seconds to think on that one.
Since I responded to the email earlier in the day, I thought about this one, and we've talked all three original movies the past 3 Decembers, and it's the Lord of the Rings movies to me, just because they are so girthy, and some of the story can be kind of like intertwining in between. I gotta say, I dislike
Two
sitting
Towers.
and watching the 3.5 hour movies, but I gotta respect every single one of them.
I'm completely opposite of you. Just give me all the extended cuts. Give me a fucking box of popcorn,
We're
and
good
I'm
to go.
fucking ready to roll. I'm not even bullshitting you. They have to be the extended cuts, or we don't play.
That's a good question. I don't probably. I'd watch the original All Is Quiet on the Western Front from like the 30s. That movie is like that pacing of it is so brutal, and like it took me about 15 tries to get through. I saw all of it, but it took me 15 times because I kept falling asleep 10 minutes into this every time I watched it. So that's one that like I'll never watch that again. But I can respect how it was made during the time and what it was
That's
doing.
that's also probably me and Lawrence of Arabia. 4 hours and 20 minutes. God, it was beautiful, especially on the 4K edition. But
Yeah.
I'm never sitting through that again.
Yep.
So
I don't know. I'm differently wired on the movie front. I go based on trailers, and I'll read about it if I find it interesting, and then I'll, back in the day, that's the way it was. But a lot of times, I just can't sit through certain shit. I just really can't. So I don't have one of those answers. I don't think right now. I'm pretty selective what I'll watch.
Yeah.
I don't mean I won't branch out. I have some good movies. I hope they're good movies, but I just go with what I like and what if I hear good enough word of mouth, I'll check it out. But
Fair.
And the other good thing about it, we were talking about a movie a day, is back to that listener or that emailer. Um, I treat this like a book club. Just for people to watch and download. We have a subject matter between the three of us, or four of us, or two of us. We go watch it, then we come hang out and hang out and talk about it. So
and we tell each other how wrong they are about what they just watched.
Yeah. And I think something else that we can probably bring into this is maybe talk about how each movie that we do maybe has like certain kind of meanings, or what a meaning could be. Or I know for a while, Zach, we used to talk about um it starts with an M.
Oh, the MacGuffin.
The MacGuffin of the movie,
Yeah.
and kind of just dissect the movie like that. Like in this movie, Longlegs, what do you guys think the MacGuffin was? Is it Longlegs? Oh, it's the doll, right?
It's the doll. Yeah, technically.
Or yeah, it's the doll, or the ball.
Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah, I kind of like to bring up different things and talk
I
about
just like to share my experience because to me, and you talked about this before, Johnny, that you sit there and in my experience, it's the whole get ready to go out to the movies, because in my day it was considered a fucking privilege to go to a movie. Still at my time, because it was expensive as fuck to go.
Yeah.
At least to me as a kid. So you had to be very selective what you went to see, and you treated it as like an event.
Yeah.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong. I did as a teenager just hang out at the theater and shit like that, but that was later on. But I like to think of the experience leading up to it, standing in line. Fucking, I had to wait for like 20 minutes to get my damn popcorn because somebody they spilt everything, because that to me just adds to it. Because when you're going in, those emotions going into it, the hype, the drama in your life, all the emotional gamut you can feel going into it. Hopefully, when you walk in that theater and plop your ass down and start munching, and the movie comes on and those things start to be erased.
And I think, I completely agree with you. I like the way you set that up too, because like that leads into kind of what we're talking about next week. We can kind of run through the month of October. I know, Jay, I know you'll have some stories for some of these, so I can't wait for our conversations next week. October the 8th, we'll be talking about Joker Part 2. Joaquin Phoenix, Lady Gaga. That should be fun. That hits theaters in 2 days on Thursday. October the 15th, we'll be talking about Scary Movie. That's Edward's pick. And I'm sure we'll have some fun stories about Scary Movie. Jay, you picked this one, October 22nd, Idle Hands. Again, 1999. I'm sure we'll have some fun stories with Idle Hands. And then this is the dark horse of the month, I think. I haven't seen it, but it got some pretty good talkings too. The First Omen came out this year. That's what we're going to end the month on with October 29th. All of these 7 p.m. Tuesday nights live here on Emisawa Productions YouTube channel, and then wherever you listen to podcasts. So I think it's going to be a fun month of October. Next week is going to be exciting. Joker Part 2. Zach, me and you talked Joker Part 1 in 2019. So I can't wait for next week. Other than that, guys, go ahead.
We'll just have to retell that story because that was a fun, like, how that episode became a thing. So
yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the month of November, which is already creeping up on us. But before we get there, does anybody have anything they want to add to Long Legs today?
No,
I talked about it enough.
All right, guys. Have a good week. Don't forget, go check out Joker this weekend. Hits theaters on Thursday. Join me and Craig for some sports talk tomorrow. And then don't forget Friday the 14th podcast this Thursday, 8 p.m. Me and Craig tomorrow, sports talk at 7. And then next Tuesday, brand new episode of the Cine-Men movie podcast as we talk Joker. Have a good week, guys.